Alright, so we got the Basics 2 practice sheet, and it's a lot like the last one with a little bit else in it. If you improve, the previous grade improves, okay? That's how I am. If you do better, I make your grade a little better. It's just how it is, looking for growth. So hopefully some of those of you that didn't even do the practice sheet last time do it this time. But anyways, don't want to take up your time. We're going to go ahead and just isolate. We're playing the isolation game. We're going to add 8 to -3, and we're going to get 5. The opposite of the understood multiplication operation is division, and we get a nice one here that x is 1. All right, now, the second one has two ways of doing it. 9 out of 10 people would do the distributive property first, so we'll distribute that 2. 2 times 3 is 6x. 2 times -8 is -16. Still equal to 12. There's my first line. Do easy things first. Add 16 to both sides, so now 6x is equal to 28. And the opposite of multiplication is division. And, you know, I know that you guys see like 28 over 6, and you're like, I don't know what that is. Well, who cares what that is? Simplify the fraction. You know, they're both even. I can literally divide the 2 out of both of them, and I get 14/3, which is really close to 5, right? It's 4 2/3. Some of you are like, Anyways, our number 3. Let's see here. I'm going to put my x's on the right, and I'm going to put my numbers on the left. You do you, okay? So my right-hand side is going to say 9x plus 5x. And my left-hand side is going to say 9 plus 17. I did that to keep the x's positive. Now, 9x and 5x, like terms, that's got to be 14x. Don't be the kid who doesn't understand that. 9 and 17 makes 26. And we're going to divide out that 14, and we're going to reduce the fraction. 26 and 14 are both even. They're both divisible by 2. We're going to get 13/7 as a final answer. Number 4's got a fraction. You know, I think probably 20% of y'all left the one with a fraction kind of blank, or you just kind of didn't know what to do. I don't know. Kids do weird things. So what we're going to do is we're going to fix this fraction. We're going to multiply the left by 3, and if I multiply the left by 3, I got to multiply the right by 3. So the 3's cancel, and my next line is twice x plus 5 equal to 24. And again, most people would do the distributive property here. There's a handful like myself who would divide the 2 out, but you don't have to do that. That'll give you 2x plus 10 equals 24. And then we're going to subtract the 10. 2x is now 14, because 24 minus 10 is 14. And we're going to divide by the 2, and we're going to have that x is 7. Now there's 12 points right there. That ain't hard. It's called basics. You don't understand basics, you is basic. All right, so on number 5, the intention here is for you to use the zero product property. The zero product property says if you have two things that are multiplied together to equal 0, A is a 0, or B is a 0. Now what that means is that 3x minus 4 is or equals 0, or x plus 2 equals 0. I'd say about 2/3 of you got the zero product property right on the last quiz. Lots of room of improvement right there. The zero product property is such a basic skill. Anywho, this one's a 2-step equation. We're going to add 4 to both sides. And then we're going to divide by 3, and we're going to have 4 over 3, 4/3. This one's a 1-step equation. Subtract 2 from both sides, jump equality, whatever, however you think of it. Done. There's your 2 answers. Number 6. 6 is a skill that only about 25% of students in the entire state of Tennessee can get right. It's solving for a variable. It may be a form that you're not familiar with. Now, by the way, this is the formula for volume of a sphere. That's the formula for volume of a sphere. And we're supposed to isolate R. So I'm going to get rid of everything that's attached to it. So attached to that R cubed is a pi. It's attached through multiplication. And also attached is a 4/3, which I'll worry about in a second. I'll probably 2-step my way out of that one. But anyways, if I divide one side by pi, I divide the other side by pi. So volume over pi is now 4/3 R cubed. Now the opposite of division is multiplication, so we're going to 3 both sides. Multiplication happens in the numerator. Cancellation on the right-hand side. The opposite of multiplication is division. Division happens in the denominator, so I'm just going to throw a 4 there. And my line right now says 3 volumes over 4 pi is the radius cubed. Well, guess what the opposite of cubing is? The opposite of cubing is cubic rooting. And if you take the cubic root of a cube, they annihilate each other. So I get that the radius is the cubic root of 3 times the volume divided by 4 pi. And I need to introduce those to you now. It's something that kids in the state of Tennessee don't well. I said that in the state of Tennessee, about 25% of students get that right. Kids coming from my class, it's about 75–80% get those right. Significantly above state average, and that's what my kids do. They grow. We get up there. We do it every year. It's not a one-hit wonder with Milbrath. Milbrath is consistent. All right, anyways, moving forward, the distributive and double distributive properties. So that's just the distributive property. Hopefully you know that 3 times 4 is 12, and that an x times an x is an x squared. And 3 times a 2 is a 6. Now it's going to be negative. It's a positive times a negative, so minus 6x. There were way too many kids who missed that type of problem. And they missed it here. They forgot the x. Okay, that needs to be fixed. On number 8, you'll use the acronym FOIL, first, outer, inner, last, but I just draw arrows. X times x would be an x squared. X times 7 would be plus 7x. Negative 2 times x minus 2x. And that's the one a lot of kids forget about. Right here is something that a lot of kids forget. I think I'd had about a 2/3 success rate on the last quiz. Negative 2 times 7 minus 14. And then we combine like terms. The stuff in the middle is the same thing, but they're x's. So we have x squared plus 5x, and then minus 14. And we just keep moving forward. Number 9, about halfway done. Same thing, distributive property. 5 times 3 is 15. X times x is x squared. 5 times 8 is 40. Do not forget about the x because 5x had an x. Moving on to the inside now. Negative 3 times 3x is minus 9x. And negative 3 times a positive 8 is minus 24. Middle terms line up and they can add together. The product of 2 binomials is always going to be a trinomial unless it's something special. 40 minus 9 is going to be 31x, and then we have the minus 24. And if I make a mistake, just let me know because I ain't perfect. I never claim to be. All right, factoring. Factor x squared minus 7x plus 8. So it's the reverse of what we just did. Instead of multiplying 2 things together to find out what they equal, we're going to go the opposite way. We're going to find out what the 2 factors of x squared minus 7x plus 8 are. Factoring is a big skill in Algebra 2. But anywho, to create the x squared, I have to lead with an x and an x. Factors of 8, they could be 1 and 8, or they could be 2 and 4. Now, it's going to be 1 and 8 because of what's in the middle. I got to add to this negative 7. So here's the signs on that. The outside creates negative 8x. The inside creates plus x. And negative 8x plus x is negative 7x, which is what I had in the middle. So this is the factorization. This one would not have gotten that way. There's no way to use 2 and 4 and add to negative 7. They're both even. 2 evens cannot add to an odd. Alright, number 11 can be done one of 2 ways, but we're just going to go straight up guess and check. The only way to make a 5x squared is to take a 5x and an x and multiply them together, because 5 is what we call a prime number, divisible by itself and one only. Factors of 20, my gut says it's 4 and 5. I'm going to put a 4 here and a 5 there, because I don't want to make this video too long. 4 times 5x is 20x, 5 times x is 5x. Goal is negative 15. Make that 20 negative, and you'll get there, because negative 20 plus 5 is negative 15. 12 is what we call a difference of 2 squares. Take note on number 12 that the middle piece, even though you can't see it, is 0x. So whenever I factor them, the pieces in the middle that I multiply together have to add to 0. Now, this one is special. Your gut should tell you that it takes a 3x and a 3x to make 9x squared. I've told you most of the time it's the factors that are close to each other. To make 16, you need a 4 and a 4. Now let's think about what happens if I link these pieces. I get 12x and I get 12x. And remember, I need to add to nothing. So one of them's positive, one of them's negative. And I'd be in business, right? Because negative 12 plus 12 is 0. All right, moving on to function notation. I believe that everybody who turned in a twin got these right, and everybody who didn't did not. It was really close on that, but it showed in the grades who practiced and who didn't. Even if you just blindly copied me, it showed. F of 5 literally means, because notice what I've done here, is x is 5. It does not say set the equation equal to 5. Don't be that kid. There were way too many of those kids. It says let x be 5. So f of 5 is equal to 5 times a 5 plus a 4. And 5 times 5 is 25. Add 4, you're sitting at 29. F of negative 3 means x is negative 3. So it's going to be 5 times a negative 3, add 4. 5 times a negative 3 is negative 15. If you add 4 to that, you're sitting at negative 11. And there you go. Now, if you're sitting here watching a video and saying, Milbrath, you're going too fast, hit the frickin' pause button, kids. I ain't got all day. 15 and 16, the last actual two questions. 15 is find the slope. So your formula for slope, which you've known since you've been in 7th grade, is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And you are juniors now. This should not be an issue, but some of you are still going off the side and drawing a graph. You're killing me, Smalls. The way it should be done is by memorization of a formula. Memorization is the foundation of all learning, contrary to what anybody might have told you. y2 is negative 5. Y is up top. Negative 5 minus 7, sitting pretty over 8. And here's where people make a mistake. They just always put a minus sign, but they don't pay attention to the sign on the number. The number happened to be a negative 5. And taking away a negative is addition. Negative 5 minus 7 is negative 12. Negative 8 minus a negative 5 is 13. Can't simplify. Negative 12 thirteenths. 16, a line has slope a half, pass through the point 4, comma, negative 1. Write an equation of this line in point slope form. Now I suggest you just write down y equals a times x minus h plus k. That is a linear form because the understood exponent is 1. That goes there, that goes there, and that goes there. Plug in like I've been showing you for a straight up week. 1/2 x minus 4 plus a negative 1, which is minus 1. Then hit it with the distributive property if you stutter, and you'll get y equals, let me do an arrow there, y equals 1/2 of x minus 2 and then minus 1. And combine like terms, y equals 1/2 of x minus 3. That's literally how hard this problem is. It's not very hard. Small bonus right underneath it, put that thing in standard form, STD form. And in STD form, you'll notice that the x's are all the way on the left-hand side. They are not on the right-hand side. The only thing on the right-hand side is a constant. So we're just going to move that guy over there. That'll make it negative. Negative 1/2 x plus a y is negative 3. Also note the disclaimer that a is a positive integer. Negative 1/2 is neither an integer nor is it positive. So let's fix the easy thing first. We'll divide out the negativity. That shall make the 1/2 x positive. It will make the y negative, and it will make the constant 3 a positive number as well. Now, I'm not an integer. An integer is something like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay? Or 0. 0 is also an integer by definition. But the opposite of division of 2 is multiplication of 2. So 2 everything. Half of 2 is 1. So 1x minus 2 times y, 2y. 2 times 3, 6. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Move forward with your life. Bonus. Given f of x is negative x squared plus 6, find the average rate of change over the interval from negative 1 to 2. The formula for average rate of change is f of b minus f of a, sitting pretty over b minus a, and you get a and b from the interval. Those are x values. This is slopes, all it is. If you want to find f of b, you are actually finding f of 2. To find f of 2, you are plugging a 2 into the equation. Please note how I wrote that. The 2 is the thing that gets squared, not the negative symbol. If you square a 2, you get 4, and negative 4 plus 6 is 2. To find f of a, you plug in a negative 1. So negative, parentheses, negative 1 squared. Again, note how I wrote that. And then plus 6. If you square negative 1, you get 1. But wait, there's a negative sign out front. Negative 1 plus 6 is 5. Now feed the formula. I found that f of b was 2. So the formula says 2 minus, I found f of a to be 5. 5, sitting pretty over 2 minus a negative 1. Notice it's b minus a, 2 minus a negative 1. Pay attention that I said minus the negative. I didn't just say minus 1. There's a big difference. 2 minus 5 is negative 3. 2 minus negative 1 is 3. Negative 3 over 3 is negative 1. Moving forward again. You are supposed to find certain things about this graph, like find f of 3. Well, f of 3 is asking what is y when x is 3. So here's where x is 3. That's right, sitting pretty on the x-axis. So when x is 3, I know that y is 0. F of negative 3. Now you got a choice. You could be this guy or this guy. There's literally nothing there. It is a frickin' hole in the graph. If you fall in a hole, you fall in a hole. There's nothing there. It's empty, okay? So the only thing you could be is this guy right here. Look at the y value. It is negative 3. And don't be the kid who thinks I did that because the numbers match. Like, don't be that kid. When we say connect the dots, we mean connect the dots. We don't mean connect random dots together. Alright, moving forward. Find f of 2. Okay, so f of 2, you go to where x is 2 and you look. And it does not exist. I had a kid write DUR. D-U-R. DUR is right if you were that kid. It's D-N-E. Does not exist. Alright, domain on this one. This one's kind of interesting. So, the kids are going to have a problem here. I can tell you that. So let's kind of break it down piece by piece. It looks to me like we can go from negative 6 to negative 3, and that's inclusive, so brackets. And then we can go from negative 3 to 2, and that is not inclusive because they're open holes. And then we can go from 2 to 6, and the 6 is inclusive. This right here gets reduced because this is saying that 3 is in the domain, and this is saying that negative 3 is not in the domain. It is in the domain. There's a nice solid dot when x is negative 3. So this is negative 6 all the way to 2. Still a parentheses on a 2. And then the other side of 2 terminating when x is 6. Range on this one is another thing. What gets kids is the open dots. So, just think about this as a little table here. The low y value is negative 5, and then y can be negative 4, and then y can be negative 3 right there, right? Let me give myself some more room here. And I wish I knew how to make this more clear for a small subset of my student body. Y is allowed to be negative 2 because there's a y value there. Y is allowed to be negative 1. Y is allowed to be 0. And even though there's a hole here, y is allowed to be 1. That's the range. The range is literally from negative 5 all the way up to 1. And they are brackets. Even though you're seeing those open holes up top, the line itself is solid. That's a solid line, which means so long as x is between negative 3 and 2, there's a y value there. Anyways, there is your practice sheet for your quiz on Friday. Please do that sheet of paper. It'll make your grade a little better.